So how we all doing?
Not bad.
Pancakes.
How do you do pancakes?
You get the batter, you make a pancake, and then you the shit out of it.
That would technically be doing pancakes.
Exactly.
Indeed. Pancakes.
You're weird, man.
He's weird. You're the one talking about doing pancakes.
Well, you asked, how do you do a pancake?
Well, there's many responses to that question. You didn't have to go that route.
Yeah, you did go kind of dark.
That's the only way I know of to do a pancake. You didn't say, how do you eat a pancake? You didn't say, how do you make a pancake? You said, how do you do a pancake? And as we all know, whenever you want to do something, it means to mate with it. In this case, mate with a pancake.
In your mind, to do something implies...
Well, no. I mean, it's been already proven. Are there any girls there? I want to do them.
Pancakes.
Who ordered all these bologna sandwiches?
I did.
Fool!
Okay, so video game show episode number 250.
The triumphant return of Keith.
Yes.
And also joining us besides Keith is Ivan.
Doesn't matter. First topic.
Okay. First topic. Warhammer Space Marine. Have fun.
Very fun.
Get it, play it, enjoy it.
Negative. I shan't.
It's a fun game. I've been enjoying it. I don't think I've played it quite as much as Phil, but I also fully admit with the disclaimer that I am a Games Workshop whore.
So before you guys talk about it, let me ask if the question that I've heard from multiple people is true or not, is if you don't really give a crap about Games Workshop stuff, is it still worth it?
I think so.
I think so.
Okay.
It's got elements of other games that are very enjoyable.
It reminds me a lot of Gears of War.
To follow it up, you've played a lot of the campaign, whereas I've played a lot of the multiplayer.
Yes, I actually haven't touched the multiplayer yet.
So, with that said, me playing the multiplayer, I would compare it a lot to like a Unreal Tournament 2004, where you've got your typical deathmatch. It's kind of a jumpy shooter, and there's also another mode where you've got your domination.
Can you show me on the orc where you touched the Warhammer?
His face.
Getting dark again.
The campaign reminded me a lot of Gears of War. I've played it both because I got it for the computer through Steam. I played it both with mouse and keyboard and with the Microsoft 360 controller. In my humble opinion, the game is more designed for the controller than the mouse and keyboard. I've had an easier time playing it using the mouse, using the game controller, the gamepad, versus the mouse and keyboard. But it's very similar to the sense of, or I should say very similar to Gears of War in the sense that, it's kind of third person. You run around, you have your aiming reticle, your 4 main weapons, and your melee attacks. But it's very reminiscent to that when you play it. The graphics, in my opinion, are better than Gears of War. It's a very, very pretty game, and they all have British accents. But I've been having lots of fun with it so far, the times that I've been playing it. The orcs look cool. I mean, it's just the graphics look a lot cooler. In my opinion, it is enhanced for the fact that it's Games Workshops, because I think fighting orcs is a lot cooler than fighting the locust things, because I'm familiar with orcs and the orcs sound funny to me, but it's very reminiscent. No, that's a different orc. That's Blizzard orc. Warhammer orc is more of, I get the humies! Smash them! Yeah, the humies.
Does it have built-in support for the 360 controller, or does just the controller happen to work?
Actually, when you bring up the control menu, it'll show you the keyboard layout, and then just below that, it actually shows you a 360 controller.
Cool.
Yes.
With all the button mappings.
Just wondering, Because I know you can play most games with a 360 controller and just like map buttons and things. I just wondered if it had like built-in support.
It honestly seems to me like the game was more designed for the controller, the gamepad, than the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, now that you mention it, when you go into the menu, it does look like it was specifically mapped out for that controller.
And because I mean, here's the thing: on the keyboard, on the gamepad, it's X is shoot, Y is you have like a stun move. So the whole thing is you have your shooting and then your melee attacks, just like most games. So you have your grenades, your shooting, and your melee. Well, using the mouse and keyboard, your melee is, I think it's E or F or something, to do the stun move, and that's how you get health back. So you know how in Gears of War, you just hide for a minute, for a little while, and you get your health back. It don't fly that way. You have armor, and your armor will recover just by hanging out for a minute. But to actually get your health back, you need to, I guess it would be considered critical, like to finish them. So you have to stun them, and then to hit them with like a finishing move, an execute move. And then when you execute them, that's when you physically get your health back. And to me, it was a lot harder to do that on the keyboard and mouse than it was on the gamepad.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to do that in a player versus player deathmatch type of deal where it is jumpy and twitchy, and it's hard enough to turn and stun somebody. And
that was my other complaint that I had with the mouse and keyboard, was that I actually found it kind of more difficult to turn than in most shooter type games. Now, I don't know if there's a way to kick it in the first person mode. If you could kick it in the first person mode, I think it would probably be cool to play on the mouse and keyboard. But
yeah, it's a third person over the shoulder camera.
To my knowledge, I don't know of how to do that. And I know that I think it was you that said that they're coming out with the co-op campaign mode later on, but
yeah, it's supposed to be in October or something like that. They're releasing free DLC.
So the game has no co-op right now.
Right.
Yeah, single player mission, right?
Right now, it's just the campaign and the multiplayer. Like I said, I haven't hopped on the multiplayer.
Now, when you do the multiplayer, is it both human sides, or is one side orc and one side human?
Probably your Chaos Marines, I would imagine.
Yeah, one side Space Marines, the other side's Chaos Marines.
Yeah, I don't think you can be the actual orcs.
Right.
More's the pity.
So once you hit like, it's like most first-person shooter games, like the Modern Warfare and all that. You level up, you unlock weapons, you unlock gear, and I think at level 4-ish you unlock your army painter, so you can basically customize your soldier to look however you want. And at some point it gets kind of tough to decipher who's who, since everybody's running around with different paint schemes and whatnot. But
I didn't think of that. They don't have some kind of like a red bar over their head or a blue bar over their head kind of a deal?
Actually, they do that. So your team should have like looks like a little falcon or something like that, like little wings. And then the other team, basically, it'll have their name in red if you hover over them, and it'll have a health bar over their head. But there's cool perks, like one of the perks for the ranged like snipers is you can see both their health and their shield meter. The heavy bolter, which is basically like your heavy machine gun, they've got a cool special ability that actually, no matter where you're looking on the map, it'll highlight the person's name. So if you got the enemy running behind a wall, you can actually see their name pop up for the most part, like as they're running between like an open space and a wall. So it's pretty well done. Another thing that I like is even if you start out at level 1, level 2, and you're getting your butt kicked, they do give you the option to mimic the person that killed you, their armor and their weapons. So if you get shot by somebody with a sniper rifle and you're only level 1, level 2, you haven't unlocked it, you can mimic their gear so that you can play with some of the harder gear to obtain. So that's pretty nice. The one complaint that I had for multiplayer was there might be one, but I don't know of one. I don't see like a map anywhere to see where like your teammates are at. So you could be running in one direction and you could have people behind you and then they split off and then you run into battle and nobody's around. I kept doing that quite a bit. So there's like no little map in the corner or anything showing you where your teammates are at. So about my only complaint.
But I do think to me, the game is very much like Gears of War.
Well, here's a question. If the game didn't have the Warhammer theme, would it be at all worth it, or would it be a generic third-person shooter?
Here's the thing. I think that it would still be a better game than Gears of War. Like I said, the graphics are better. The gameplay on the gamepad I like. It's much easier because melee is much more an integral part of the gameplay. And as everyone knows, I am a melee guy. I prefer to stab something than shoot it or cast a spell at it or something. So melee is a much more important aspect of the game than in Gears of War or that. So I enjoy that aspect of it. My only complaint with the melee is there's not a block. There you have to roll and dodge out of the way, but there's not, or stun them, but there's not a block per se. But I would say that it would be on par with Gears of War, me liking it a little bit more. Now, I don't know if the graphics are significantly different on the 360 versus
PC.
Thank you.
360 versus PC?
Thank you. I couldn't think of that for a moment. But I don't know if the graphics are significantly or if the graphics are that different, but the graphics I think on the Xbox on the computer are phenomenal.
I agree. Like the blood splatters and everything is really well done. I mean, even the world, I mean, even like you said, Chad, if you don't care about the Warhammer world, I mean, you've got a pretty cool space theme. You're running through some hangars in some points, and it's just a fun hack and slash shooter with a really cool environment.
So would you consider Gears of War a typical third-person shooter?
What do you mean?
Well, when he said, excluding, if we take out of account the fact that it's Warhammer, would it be a typical third-person shooter?
Did they add enough to the mix to make it unique?
I don't think it's unique. Like I said, it's got elements of a lot of other games. I'd say like a Left 4 Dead, Gears of War. Like I said, for multiplayer, it plays like an Unreal Tournament where you got a little bit of a jumpy aspect.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's unique, but they did change a few things with it. Again, I like the fact that you don't just heal. I do like the fact that to heal, you have to do the special move on the people. Your armor recovers. But beyond that, no, it's pretty much third-person shooter. It's a good third-person shooter. There's not oodles to make it unique beyond, that melee is more prominent and that it's Warhammer, I would say, are the two biggie. And the healing. So 3 biggies.
So the big question is going to be, is it going to hold up to Gears of War 3, which comes out in a week?
Yes. I personally, like I said, I enjoy it. I probably won't pick up Gears of War 3, since I have this game, to be honest.
Well, I know a lot of us that did play Gears of War. Many, many, many people were complaining about the first one and the second one having various glitches, and it just didn't seem like they really fixed any of the glitches, especially in the multiplayer games.
I'll be honest, I was not a big fan of Gears of War multiplayer. I just wasn't. I liked the Horde mode, but the actual multiplayer for Gears of War didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, it was pretty much whoever can rush to the big guns had the advantage.
But I also, like I said, I don't know right now. I don't know how the multiplayer is for this because I haven't tried it yet. But I've been enjoying it.
So right now, is it worth the $50 price tag?
I'm not disappointed that I spent $50 on it, but I'm sure people like Chris Palladino and maybe Ivan probably wouldn't spend the $50 on it.
I think it would depend on that statement, because am I disappointed? No. I think that it would need the co-op and a little bit more than a deathmatch for multiplayer for average person to be like, okay, cool, I want this. My personal opinion is they probably said we need to get this out now before
The co-op missions were available.
Exactly. We need to get this out now before Gears 3 gets out. Because Gears 3 has the name recognition, they already have two successful games that came out before it. So they're probably just saying we need to get this game out. And then from there, we can add the extra stuff afterwards. So it's a tough one to say. I am not disappointed, just like Phil said, but I would think for some people, they may want to hold off until that extra content comes out. And also it depends on what your game style is, because, I'm sure Gears of War is going to have a bigger customer base when you're talking about playing online and doing that kind of stuff.
Sounds good. Next topic.
I played the Crimson Alliance game on Xbox Live Arcade.
What's Crimson Alliance?
Is a dungeon crawler kind of hack slash kind of game. You can download the game for free, but I guess you unlock you have to pay for the classes.
So if you get the free game, it's all there free, and you have to pay money to get a new class?
That's what it looks like to me. Because I played the first handful of levels, and it said, this is trial, but I played the first about 3 levels, I'd say, and it just let me do my thing. But, it says unlock the wizard now, unlock the assassin now, because I used the mercenary person. So there's a wizard, a mercenary, and an assassin type person. And I guess you can unlock them to go further and unlock extra stuff within it, but you can download the game itself to try for free. Very run-of-the-mill. Nothing. I don't even know how much the stuff was to unlock it, because when you go to the game, it doesn't have any Xbox Live points. It just download the game. So I never actually clicked on it to go see how much points were. You can also buy gold. So you can go buy gold with Xbox Live points as well. But
is it cooperative? Is it just single player?
No, it's cooperative. I think you can have up to 3 people playing. I didn't play it very long because honestly, it's just like every other Xbox Live Arcade game. It does use buttons instead of left stick, right stick. But there's nothing new that is brought to the table with this in any way, shape, or form. It was just as basic comes, which was kind of sad.
So it sounds like the novelty in the game is that it's free, and
then you would unlock the pieces and parts that you want.
Right, kind of like League of Legends. You buy the stuff that you want to buy, but you can play it for free.
Correct, sir.
So speaking of League of Legends, we can talk about the PC Gamer debacle that recently occurred.
What PC Gamer debacle that recently occurred?
So, the newest PC Gamer, the November 2011 PC Gamer.
Oh, the magazine.
Yeah. Features a couple articles on League of Legends and also includes a code for a free skin. The skin being a different outfit for Caitlyn, which is one of the champions in League of Legends. So the problem comes in that the magazine is not sealed in any kind of plastic. The code doesn't have any kind of scratch off type thing. You just flip to page 72 and there's a printed code right there in the magazine. And the magazine, like I said, isn't protected in any way. So you walk up to a newsstand type deal, pick up the magazine, flip to 72, and there's the code. So the problem is that seems a good amount of magazines, 80+%, is a complete guess, but of the codes have been stolen because people walk into a store, write down the code or take a picture of the code or whatever, and then put the magazine back. And then some fool like me comes in and says, hey, cool, new PC Gamer magazine. I wouldn't mind reading it, and hey, awesome free code for a skin. And I get home and enter the code, and it says your code is invalid because somebody has already redeemed it. So the forums are just, the League of Legends forums are just ablaze with people bitching and complaining as they should.
And I was about to say, and rightly so, because you got like a pancake, son.
Indeed. So the thing is, and of course there's trolls and people whining and blah, blah, blah. But, one of the arguments is, well, you didn't buy the magazine for the code. You bought the magazine for the magazine. The code was free, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, no, I wouldn't have bought this magazine if it didn't have a free code in it. Because magazines are dumb. There's very little in a magazine anymore that you can't, information-wise, that you can't get online, which is more up-to-date, more recent, and better. So you're really just looking at opinions and such is all magazines are really good for. So I spent $9 on a magazine to get...
Oh, the magazine was that expensive?
Yeah, it's $9.
Okay.
And spent $9 on a magazine because I figured I'd be getting a free code, only to come home and find out that it's invalid because somebody stole the code. So...
Well, on top of that, it's about $9 to buy a skin in League of Legends, too.
Well, right, yeah. And they claim it's an exclusive skin. Now, I've heard different stories, like it's exclusive now, but in a month or 2 weeks or whatever, Riot is going to start selling the skin, so it's not really that exclusive. I don't know if that's true or not, but, I figured $9, it's a magazine, I don't mind reading about things. It's got a Diablo 3 article, it's got League of Legends articles. I figured I'm not just buying it just for the code. I will actually read this and get, I don't know if I'll get $9 worth of information out of it, but, it's not a complete waste of money. But yeah, so now me and along with apparently thousands upon thousands of other people are all pissed off. And so people, I don't think anyone has been resolved yet because it kind of happened over the weekend. People have said send an email to Riot. Other people have said send an email to PC Gamer and they'll give you a new code. I haven't seen anybody successfully get a new code. I did both and I haven't gotten a response yet. And so, and then the question is, well, nobody care. Riot doesn't care, because they're getting free marketing out of this. PC Gamer doesn't care because all they wanted to do was sell magazines. So, pretty big issue.
Yeah, dude, I admit I laughed, but I do feel bad for you for that whole endeavor. Because that is kind of BS.
Well, it's just dumb on PC Gamer's part. And so the thought is that, well, it would cost them an extra 3 cents per issue to put it in a plastic bag or an extra 5 cents per issue to put a scratch-off thing on it, and they didn't want to spend the money, so they didn't bother. And they don't care because, it's a free code. It's going to, at least, if people aren't buying the magazine, at least they're picking up their magazine and looking at it.
I thought PC Gamers at one point did come in plastic bags. They stopped doing that?
They did because for the longest time they shipped with demo CDs.
Yeah. And they stopped doing that?
They quit doing that years ago when downloading a free demo became trivial. It used to be, back in the day, getting demos for things was kind of a pain in the butt. Either there weren't demos or you had to download them over your dial-up modem, blah, 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 and it took forever to do. So they put them on a disc, which was nice and convenient. You just slapped it in your computer and installed it and you're done. I don't know when they quit doing it, but I'm sure they quit doing it years ago when, like I said, when downloading a demo was as simple as going to the company's website and hitting download, or especially with Steam, where now you go to Steam and you look for a game that you want to buy and it says download the demo and you click one button and you're done. So that's why they put the magazines in plastic bags before.
And they still charge $9. I mean, it used to be, it was $10 with the disc, and then like $5 without the disc.
Yeah, and I'm assuming they're $9 now because PC Gamer, like every other magazine on the planet, is just bleeding money because nobody buys print magazines anymore. Because
why would you buy print magazines?
I mean, when you've got the internet and all this information is more up to date, better, has more information online, you know, like I said, you're really just getting print magazines really are just all about commentary and opinions and stuff now, the kind of stuff you can't necessarily get. And I put that in quotes because, I mean, that's barely a selling point, but that's the kind of stuff you can't get online. You know, when they say exclusive new looks at this game, it's like, well, yeah, but your magazine is literally 2 months old, so we're getting exclusive looks at something from 2 months ago, which has already been spread all over the internet. You know, they've got like Diablo 3 information in here and stuff about the auction house. And it's like everybody already knows all this because, you know, this is 2-month-old data. And yeah, your pictures are pretty, but I can get prettier pictures online. So, print magazines are just quickly dying. Yeah, I mean, even digital magazines are kind of...
Well, hell, look at newspapers. Newspapers are dying like crazy as well.
The only reason newspapers are still in business is because there's old people out there who don't like to read their news online. You know, people like my parents who have read the newspaper every morning, every day for the past 60 years.
And damn it, they're going to keep reading it.
And they are. I mean, my dad uses a computer. He does stuff online, but he still reads his newspaper.
Although my dad does that too. My dad reads it as well. I just find that funny.
But you're right. I mean, $9 is outrageous for a magazine with, you know, maybe 5 to 10 pages of useful information out of... How many pages are in this thing even? 90 some odd pages, 100 pages, I guess. There's about 100 pages in here.
Most of it being completely useless.
Yeah, well, first of all, half of it is ads. You know, half of it is full-page ads-ish. And then half of that half, so like 25% of it is stuff that, that you're have already seen online. And so half of that 25% is actually useful information. 10%-ish. So, yeah, I mean, print magazines are dumb. But like I said, I thought, you know what? I used to subscribe to PC Gamer. It's always been a decent magazine. I thought there's several articles in here that I would at least read. I don't know how much information I would get, but I would read. It's good bathroom reading, too, you know. And plus the code was this essentially the selling point. And then this whole thing is just dumb. And it's like nobody cares. There's no information on either person's website. Riot hasn't even acknowledged the fact that this is an issue. You know, there's nothing on their website, on their forums, or anything. All this information I've seen is from other people. Somebody dug up the PC Gamer support email and posted it. There's a ticket type system that you can do for Riot. Like, I have this issue. Click on what your issue is. You know, put your information in here. That kind of stuff. It's like nobody really gives a crap. It's almost like Riot and PC Gamer were just in this whole thing. They either knew about this issue and didn't care, or did it on purpose, which I don't. I find it hard to believe somebody would do it on purpose. I just think that, you know, they said, here, PC Gamer, here's 10,000 codes for this skin that we will put in your magazine, call it exclusive so that your magazine will sell and people will learn about League of Legends if they don't. And PC Gamer said, great, we'll put it in the magazine. And then, you know, they knew they weren't going to hide it or put it in any kind of security type thing, and they didn't care. So
Come on, it is kind of funny when you think about someone going, hey, do you want to know what's funny? Do you want to see people get really, really pissed?
Yeah. It's like the definition of a troll, right?
Exactly.
Let's do this on purpose because we know we'll piss off tens of thousands of people.
April Fools!
I mean, so my point, I was talking with Lano about this yesterday, and during our conversation, I brought up the point that this has got to be costing both sides, Riot and PC Gamer, a fortune, if nothing else, in support costs. Because support people, and Chad knows now that he's a support person, support people are not cheap.
I was support.
When you submit a ticket for an issue, for one person, that's not that bad. But when you have 10,000 tickets for the same kind of issue, that costs a lot of money, both in the people handling the requests, dealing with the requests, the people fixing the requests. There's lots of man hours involved in this kind of thing. So I can't believe that this isn't costing both companies just tons of money. Yeah,
you're talking strictly from a monetary standpoint as well.
Yeah.
You're not even talking about from a PR standpoint.
Right.
Because this does nothing but piss people off.
Yeah. And however much money they're making by people buying the PC Gamer magazine or people learning and downloading League of Legends and then buying some skins, I can't imagine that cost is being offset by the support costs involved in handling these requests. Because essentially what they're doing is, and I don't know because neither side has said, here's what you need to do to get this fixed. People are assuming what you need to do is contact one or both places, take a picture of your receipt along with the code, which you can do in one picture, and then email it. So if that's what really they have to do, you've got all these support people who have to open up an attachment, make sure it doesn't have a virus in it, first of all, open up the attachment, visually inspect the picture to ensure that the receipt has a purchase for a magazine and that the code is inside of, is a picture of the code in the magazine, and that, somebody didn't just write it on a piece of paper kind of thing. And so there's all that cost involved. Not to mention, like Keith said, the PR move. You're pissing off everybody.
And especially when you have new games that are going to be coming out that are also, they have competition on the way. Now is not the time to start pissing off your fan base.
Exactly. So it sounds like this started off being that, like, you know what? We've got competition on the way. Let's start doing some more marketing things. Let's give away some free skins to people who buy a magazine. This is the wrong way to do it. You've got people going into stores, 10, 15 magazines on the shelf, and they're opening up every one of them. And opening up, all you got to do is flip to the frickin' page. It's not like you're even ripping open bags and stealing the code. Stealing 10, 15 codes, and I've seen people selling them on eBay. It's just douchebaggery right there.
I agree.
And then you've got idiots like me who stupidly said, I will support both companies by purchasing your magazine and playing your game and using this code. And you're pissing us off too, because it's like, I paid $9 for this and I didn't get what I paid for.
I remember how disappointed you were when you paid $9 for that hooker.
Yeah. Turns out it was a bear in a hooker suit.
Well, you did only pay $9.
Well, I guess. And not to mention the fact that I'm probably going to have to wait 3 to 5 days to get this issue resolved. And it's like...
Chris is going to have the skin before you now.
Yeah. It's like, if this would have worked, I could have been playing with the skin and enjoying it and all of that goodness. But no, now it's going to take me a week.
People could compliment you on the skin that you purchased.
Right.
Say, cool skin, man.
The biggest thing here is that next time something like this happens, I'm not even going to bother. It's just soured me on the whole ordeal. It's like, it's not even worth it. Your magazine isn't that. It's a magazine. I don't buy magazines anymore. I'm not going to support you next time you try and pull something like this off because you failed.
That's what you get for trying to be good.
Yeah, I try and support the things that I enjoy. Yes, League of Legends is a free game, but I support it by purchasing skins. We're both getting something. Riot's getting my money. I'm getting enjoyment, but I don't mind. I'm not one of those people who are complaining that, skins cost too much money.
No, that's how they make their money. I agree with you on that one. I don't see a problem with that.
And I make enough money that I can afford to purchase some luxury items like that here and there. So I'm not complaining that I'm one of the poor kids who can't afford to buy this stuff. And I don't mind supporting the company. It's a good game. If it wasn't a good game, I wouldn't support them by purchasing this stuff. But they've angered me, and now I'm angry. And you won't like me when I'm angry.
I don't like you when you're happy.
Okie dokie. I think we hit the time for this week. We can save other topics for next week.
Yeah.
So that was Video Game Show episode number 250. Any final words for the momentous occasion?
Negative.
Negative.
Negative.